Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Irish Media Network Sports Update. I'm your host, Joe Caulfield, and welcome to the show. So we have a massive weekend of sport ahead. In GAA, we have three provincial football finals kicking off tomorrow, with Dublin take on Meath in the Leinster final, followed in Ulster by Cavan taking on Donegal on Sunday, and that's followed by Cork taking on Tipperary in the Munster final on Sunday as well. In rugby, Andy Farrell's men will travel to Twickenham tomorrow to take on England in their second Autumn Nations Cup match. And James Ryan will be leading them out for the first time at the tender age of 24 tomorrow, so good luck to him on that. Now, in this week's show, we're going to be sticking with MMA because ahead of a very stacked card for UFC 255 this weekend, it was confirmed yesterday that Conor McGregor is coming back to take on Dustin Poirier. And this man, Niall McGrath of the Bash MMA Podcast, is joining me to chat about it. How are things, Niall?
Joe, I'm good. How are you? You keeping well?
I'm very, very well and very excited because, look, we've been kind of drip-fed teases from the Mac Life promotion for quite a while now that this fight was happening. Poirier's been on board for a while. It was confirmed, signed and seen, as delivered yesterday. McGregor's returning to the Octagon on the 23rd of January to fight him for the second time. How excited are people in UFC corners about this matchup?
Yeah, I think people are excited because I think really one of the general reasons is because both guys have really improved so much since that first meeting at UFC 178, I think back in 2014, I believe it was. So nearly 7 years on, both guys have improved drastically in their evolution as mixed martial artists. And I think it's a totally different fight in terms of where Conor McGregor was, and it's a totally different fight in terms of where Dustin Poirier was. Both of Conor's obviously held that lightweight title. Dustin has gone on to challenge it for it unsuccessfully. So just lots of excitement. Good to see Conor back in there again. I think for the sport in general, it's absolutely massive. And it's going to be a very, very different matchup from the first time, but something I think people should really get excited about. I think they are. Generally, that's the feeling around the mixed martial arts community at the moment.
Yeah, and I think whenever McGregor comes out of retirement, he creates a buzz. Talk to me from an insider's point of view. McGregor's retired for 3 times. He's now coming back. I don't think people take it awfully seriously when he does retire. How hard, therefore, is it to tell what form he's going to be coming into this fight at? How hard it is to tell, what he's going to bring to the fight? Yeah. And also, Poirier is sitting in second. He's sitting in fourth. What's the significance of this fight for these two fighters?
Yeah, I think there's big significance. Starting that point first, I think in terms of, the unfortunate thing for Dustin is he fought for a title and he lost. So, we don't know this status with Khabib at the moment, whether he's going to come back. Dana keeps saying he is. There was a report yesterday saying that Khabib's not going to come back. He said he's focused on, what he wants to do in Dagestan. I think he's a farm there. He wants to concentrate and focus on that. So that's an interesting narrative because, if Dustin beats Conor McGregor, are they really going to grant him a rematch straight away after such a decisive win from Khabib Nurmagomedov in that fight? I don't think so. In terms of Conor, I think, if he does win this fight, the UFC are clearly going to go after that Khabib-Conor McGregor fight because obviously the massive amount of money in pay-per-view buys it drew the first time. And I think, the story and the hatred between the two fighters there is something the UFC definitely, no matter what Dana says publicly, whether Khabib says, he doesn't want to go there again, it's something that definitely Conor McGregor is going to push for if he wins, and definitely the UFC are going to push for if he wins. What was the second part of the question, Joe?
No, that was it. So I was just trying to kind of analyze what the outcome will be. Also, what form McGregor is coming into the fight on, because he's been out for a while now.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing. I think 3 fights in the Octagon in 4 years. So, listen, the Donald Cowboy Cerrone fight, I don't think we can read too much into that. It was obviously a very good performance from Conor, but Cowboy, if you look at his record over the last couple of years, he's been on the on the slope, on the downward spiral in terms of his career. But I think that's the interesting thing. I think Conor was getting very frustrated and talked about the retirements for a long, long time, and I think, he wanted to be booked last July. The UFC weren't willing to do that. And I listened to an interview last night with Dana White and Robbie from Barstool Sports in the US. And Dana's talking about UFC 247 and bringing crowds back over to Abu Dhabi, where they're planning on doing it. So that's, a bit of a wild statement from me. I know they're opening up a new arena in Abu Dhabi as well. Right. So, it goes back to what I said a number of months ago. I believe that the UFC kept on fobbing off McGregor because they were interested in bringing crowds back, because the Conor McGregor gate would pocket the UFC $30 million plus. And I think sort of Dana mentioned a number of weeks ago as well, in terms of the elections, obviously he had a close relationship with Donald Trump. So there was talk that Florida was going to open back up in terms of letting mass numbers into arenas and sporting events. And Dana said publicly that he was waiting till after the election. He thinks a lot of stuff was going to change. So obviously President-elect now is Joe Biden. So I don't think that's going to do the UFC any favors as well. So it is interesting. And I think if you look at Conor in terms of his willingness to get back in there as well, is a big thing. You know, he's constantly been at the door over the last year. He's been out of the public spotlight in any sort of allegations or negative terms against him. So I think you're looking at a Conor McGregor at the moment that's very, very hungry and very eager to get back in there. And I think that's a good thing for the sport and a good thing for Conor McGregor, because he's a guy that is focused. And I think with all the spotlight Habib has got as well, has really sort of put an itch and a fire in Conor McGregor's belly. Yeah,
it's great to see him coming back focused and hungry. But a name that you can't discount in the lightweight division is Tony Ferguson. He's called out the newcomer to the division, Michael Chandler, who has said he won't fight him in December. How likely are we to see a co-main event of Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson on that card on the 23rd with McGregor and Poirier?
Yeah, possible. I'm not really 100% sure what the UFC are planning to do. I don't know if that's the fight they're really going to put together. I know Tony was concerned about some contractual issues. He said recently that, you know, he wants to be paid what he's worth. So it's going to be interesting to see if that pans out for that co-main event in January. I'm not too sure. I think there's other options as well. They might, you know, someone like Paul Felder maybe with Michael Chandler. And listen, Michael Chandler, the push the UFC have seemed to give him is a little bit unfair, I think, to the other guys around the sort of top 6 or 7 in that division, because it is one of the most stacked divisions in mixed martial arts. And ideally, I'd like to see Michael Chandler fight someone within the top 15, you know, on the verge, on the cusp of the official UFC rankings in the top 15, which is on their website. But yeah, that's a possibility that match is going to happen, but I wouldn't get too excited about that one happening just yet.
I'd like to move on just slightly to this weekend's card rather. So Valentina Shevchenko was taking on Jennifer Maia. First of all, how are you calling that one?
I don't think you can look past Valentina Shevchenko. She's a masterclass. She's a cut above anyone in that division. And I think, you know, the UFC haven't really been selling this narrative this week, but I think she's just too good. You know, Jennifer Maia lost to Caitlin Chukagian, and we saw Valentina Shevchenko put away Caitlin Chukagian pretty much with ease when she had her title shot. So I really just can't look past Valentina Shevchenko in this fight. She's a phenomenal athlete and one of the best combat sports athletes of all time.
And I didn't want to just discount Maia there, but I would agree. Like, Shevchenko is going in heavy favor. If it does go that way this weekend, does that set up a rematch with Amanda Nunes in 2021, and when?
I don't know. I think you know, it's another one that they've done it a couple of times, and you know, Amanda's another one who's just absolutely incredible, an absolute beast of an athlete. Obviously, you know, people spoke about that fight coming together ahead of this one, and you know, I'm not too sure. I think they're going to avoid that for the moment and maybe let it play out for another year before we see that again. I think there's a couple of more challenges she might have in that division. Some people that are coming to the forefront, and they might try and sell them. But yeah, I just think Valentina is just too good at that weight class.
Yeah, look, one of the great things I love talking about when we have a UFC show or an MMA show is that it's all the different matchups that could possibly evolve from whomever wins in any particular fight. So thanks a million for giving your insight and opinion on that. I really appreciated it.
No worries.
I want to move on now to our new segment. Since last you've been on, we've added the How Well You Know Your Sport quiz to test your knowledge in UFC. So that's coming up next. So, Niall McGrath, the Bash MMA Podcast. How well do you really know your MMA?
I don't know.
Still about to find out. Okay, look, it's 5 questions. They're all multiple choice. We do it within a minute, and the time starts now. Number 1, how many world title defenses does John Bones Jones have? Is it A, 13, B 15, or C 17?
13.
Well done. Number 2, Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather was the biggest pay-per-view event in sporting history. How many pay-per-viewers did they have? Was it A, 6.7 million, B, 5.9 million, or C, 6.3 million?
I think it's 5.9, if I'm not mistaken.
Unlucky.
C,
6.7 million, would you believe?
Wow.
Number 3, look, you'll get back on the horse fairly rapidly, I believe. Number 3, Valentina Shevchenko has how many professional wins on her record? Is it A, 21, B, 19, or C, 16?
19, I believe. I think
That's
it is.
it. Back on the horse straight away. Number 4, there are 4 champs in UFC history. Can you name them?
Conor McGregor, Amanda Nunes, Henry Cejudo.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who's that? Who's this? Probably looking at me. Henry Cejudo. Oh Jesus.
You've got all 3. You've 3 of 4 gotten, and I'll let you come back to it because I want to go on to 5 to get you within a minute. 5. Cage Warriors held its first event in which year? 2000, 2002, or 2008?
2008.
2002, would you believe?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I should know that. That's bad. That's bad. I should know that.
Finally, we go back to number 4 and let you redeem yourself. You have Conor McGregor, Amanda Nunes, Henry Cejudo, and...
Oh, this is terrible. How do I not know this?
5, 4, 3, 2, DC.
DC. Oh, God.
You give it a good run. 3.5 out of 5. Wasn't too bad.
That is shocking. DC staring at me in the face.
It's always the ones that are under your nose that are hardest to see,
shocking.
my friend.
Yeah, shocking.
Before I let you go, what I'd love to do is just get your opinion on this. We run a poll with all of our guests to see who is their favorite all-time Irish sporting legend. We're going to play a clip, and you decide which one is the best. We're going to play the clip now.
The heat by O'Driscoll. Oh, brilliant by O'Driscoll! It's towards Keane! Roy Keane with a captain's goal!
An absolute rocket. Rocket from Sheffield.
History has been made! Conor McGregor is the UFC lightweight champion! And the 16 times champion jockey, Tony McCoy, he comes storming up the hill to win the Gold Cup!
10, Rory. You know the storylines and the stakes for him. A win not just means the Masters, but it means the Grand Slam. And that's beautiful.
And Sonny O'Sullivan is going to take the world title.
War Cup to Dublin's captain, Stephen Truxton.
The fighting pride of Ireland, Katie.
Ireland's greatest sporting legend. Who are you going for?
Gotta be... no Manchester United bias here at all, but it has to be Roy Keane for me.
Roy Keane. Tell us why in 30 seconds.
Incredible athlete. I think he sort of, whether what side of the fence is hit on with the Saipan incident, I think he revolutionised the thought process and mentality in Irish sport. Always wanting to win. You're not there to make up the numbers. And I think that has basically changed a generation of athletes in this country in terms of the way they think and how they go out and they want to win, and pretty much at all costs. I think that was Roy Keane's mentality, and it got rid of that underdog mentality that the Irish people were so used to over the years. So there's my greatest Irish sporting legend in Roy Keane.
And very well justified. Niall McGrath of the Bash MMA, thanks a million. It's always great to chat to you. I really hope you enjoy the weekend's card and the fight in the 23rd. Thanks a million for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Joe. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, mate.